What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Hope all is well with you. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about Percy Jackson. You guys might remember I did a video about this over a year ago where we were talking about the controversy surrounding the upcoming Disney Plus series because the author of the book, Percy Jackson, has decided to turn the race of the character of Annabeth from what she was described as in the book for years as a white girl into a black girl. And over a year later, he's still trying to justify that decision. And that includes also criticizing the fan base for not expanding their imaginations and their racial biases to accept his decision as the author of this particular story. So we're going to get into this, guys, because I think that it's very interesting, his reasoning here, and I want to make my own commentary about this. So let's get into this article that I saw here in Variety.com. We'll start with the headline. Percy Jackson author says casting a black actor as Annabeth in Disney Plus show stays true to why he wrote the books. And he says anybody can be a hero. You guys might remember this is actually also a justification that they use for the character of Miles Morales. You guys know I don't really have much of a problem with the Miles Morales character. I don't deny that he is actually how shall we say, a token character. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that the character is without its value. And I guess that's where I stand on that particular thing. But let's talk about, and let's keep it right here with Annabeth and Percy Jackson. Now, the author of the book here, Riordan, I'm going to say Riordan. Okay, you guys can correct me as usual, but I'm going to say Riordan. He was having an interview with Entertainment Weekly, and he went on to say that Percy Jackson was written because of his son, who was having difficulty in school. He says he was struggling with dyslexia and ADHD, having a terrible time in school. But the one thing he did was love Greek mythology. Riordan said, as a classroom teacher myself, I knew a great deal about Greek mythology. I loved teaching it. So I started telling him stories from the Greek myths. And when I ran out of the old stuff, I made up a new Greek hero, a modern-day kid named Percy Jackson, who, like my son, has ADHD and dyslexia and finds out that those are indicators that you may well be a demigod. Now, my son had no trouble believing that. Keep that in mind, guys. His son had no trouble believing that having ADHD and dyslexia are indicators that you may well be a demigod. Now, Riordan continued, 20 years on, it was important that I looked at it again with fresh eyes. After 20 years, he looked at it with fresh eyes and made sure that the story was speaking to all kids and that everyone could look at this series and see themselves. It is inclusive enough that anyone can be a hero after all. That's why I wrote the book in the first place. My son, because of learning differences, was feeling like an outsider. And this was my way of saying, it's okay. Difference is strength. You're going to be just fine and you belong in this world. Okay, well, see, that is respectable. That's admirable. I love the fact that he did that for his son. But like I said, the point that I want to point out here is that he said his son had no problem believing, imagining that he could relate to another character having ADHD and dyslexia being a demigod. That's a pretty big leap of imagination, but his son had no problem believing it and putting himself into that story. It's very interesting to me because does he think that only white boys suffer, or not even suffer, but are challenged by ADHD and dyslexia? There could be black boys or black girls or white girls also who will have no problem imagining themselves the same way. But it's very interesting to me how people will always want to boil it down to what you see in front of your eyes instead of imagining, so that someone of a different race, he's implying, is not able to necessarily see themselves as Percy Jackson or a Percy Jackson-like character who suffers from ADHD and dyslexia. I think it's interesting that he went to Greek mythology to do this. There's mythology in every culture. So why wouldn't you have written a separate book where you dove into, say, African mythology or Indian mythology, right? or Asian mythology if you wanted to be all inclusive. This particular story that was written over 20 years ago is what it is. And after 20 years, I think that it's kind of short-sighted of you to now demand that your audience that have stuck with you for over 20 years just imagine it differently because you just had an epiphany of your own. And instead of writing another book, you decided you want to go in and change the character. Now, the funny thing about writing is that when you describe your characters and you create and develop your characters, it's usually so that the reader can either love or hate them. In this case, it's love. So a lot of people love this character. You did a good job as a writer. You made these people care about this character and love the character as they are. It's not that they're hating the character or another character. They're loving the character as you describe the character. So that's on you, sir. But it says here, let's see. This is what the actress actually had to say. She said, I'm playing a character that is a different person, different hair color, different skin tones, and all that. That's what the prototype was. Just to hear that I'm playing her different was like, wow, I'm now going to be an inspiration to other girls. My experience filming the series has been phenomenal and unbelievable. And of course, I'm happy for her. I'm sure she's going to do a great job. But guys, don't underestimate the decency, the common quality of empathy of your audience. People would have loved this character if it was written as the source character. Black girls would have loved the character. We've been doing this for years. Black people have always loved the characters that you see. White people always love the characters that they see. Well, I can't say always, because there was a time in Hollywood where just the mere sight of a black face was a boycott. So I'm not even going to sit here and tell that lie. It hasn't always been that way, but it's 2023. And in the years that have passed over the last, 30, maybe even 40 years, we've seen so many different characters of so many different persuasions and diversity and all of that stuff. We've seen them go on to be completely, utterly adored and emulated. So just to say that you have this black character playing this character means automatically she's going to be an inspiration to everybody. I'm sure she will, because it does mean something to some people and everything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't even draw the character in the correct way. Or you're faithful, because when they go to the source material, unless he's going to go and change the source material, it's still going to have the description of the original character as it was. So anyway, let's see what else Riordan had to say. He also alluded to the fact that he signed off on the casting and that fans of Percy Jackson should, at the very least, trust the creator of Percy Jackson to cast the actor who best fits the role. And this is what he says. You refuse to believe me. He's talking about you people out in the audience. You refuse to believe me, the guy who wrote the books and created these characters, when I say that these characters are perfect for the roles because of the talent they bring and the way they use their auditions to expand, improve, and electrify the lines they were given. Riordan wrote, once you see Leia as Annabeth, she will become exactly the way you imagine Annabeth, assuming you give her that chance. But you refuse to credit that this may be true. Okay, so he's having a little hissy fit because people are pushing back on this recasting and reimagining of the character. Now, of course, the ultimate judge will be those of us who watch this movie. So it's not even saying that they're not giving you a chance, sir. It's just saying that they're giving you their opinions on what you've done thus far. All right? They don't like it because you've changed a character that they've loved. When the movie comes out, I doubt very seriously you're going to see a massive boycott. There'll be some people who won't see it based upon this, but if they're true fans of the book, they're going to want to see it and they're going to have their opinions. Either they're going to like it or they're not going to like it. She has a big job ahead of her to win over the audiences, which is the reason why sometimes I feel sorry for these black castings and blackwashed characters that are coming out and everything, because you're throwing them out there when you could be writing them some meaty roles, and black people could be writing meaty roles for ourselves. You know what I mean? This could be, and people could give it a chance. You know, so that's basically what it boils down to. But you are never going to silence the people. You're never going to stop with that. And guys, also, I just want to point something else out before I go. It's this idea that the mere fact that these people happen to be black or Asian or Spanish or something like that means automatically that you can identify with them, that I would identify with a black character merely because they're black. He even said that his son had no problem imagining himself in this role or identifying with Percy because he also had ADHD and dyslexia. He had no problem imagining him that way. I would have no problem doing that either, as I had no problem relating to Luke Skywalker. I had no problem relating to Captain Kirk. I had no problem relating to just about any character that I've liked over the years, because of their characteristics, their actual characteristics. I'm talking about what makes them who they are. You know what I mean? Not necessarily what they look like. I would be pretty hollow if that were the case. Oh, I see somebody who looks like me. Oh, I love them because they look like me. Yes, it's an added bonus, perhaps. Everyone wants to relate as much as possible. But there's so much more to be said for the actual attributes of these characters. And I think that it's short-sighted and almost insulting that you say, here's a black character for you people. Here's a gay character for you people. Here's a female character for you people. What, I can't relate to the guy who has ADHD and the Greek guy? That's not for me? No? Okay, then I'll just relate to this one over here. I think that's kind of insulting and short-sighted, but he is the author. He can do what he wants. Guys, you can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about what Riordan is saying here about the fans and being short-sighted. Does he have a point here? Are you going to give this Percy Jackson movie a chance? I think most people, if you're fans, really will, but you can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about this. As always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the super thanks. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.